Hey y'all, how y'all doing? Y'all, we back at it, y'all. Hold on, y'all. Hey y'all, how y'all doing? Hope everybody doing good on the first Sunday of New Year's. I know y'all cooked a good dinner today. Y'all, this is for entertainment, criticism, commenting, criticism purposes. And this is for my subscribers, my viewers. Now, y'all, this is only my opinion and not necessarily facts. Okay. Now, I want to bring to your attention the Bradley sisters. Because I'm hearing this and I'm hearing that. But welcome, grown folks, to the real deal, funny acting grandma, Lalita. Y'all ain't gonna believe who I think may be a sister. George Washington is allegedly a suspect in my eye in this case. Allegedly, the mother knew a little something allegedly going on because she was terrified to call the police and tell the police what had happened to her child. That's her child. Why are they so afraid to call police to get help for their child? She said that she was afraid that they were going to take the other two girls. But you know, there's something strange about this case, y'all. I know a lot of people want to talk about the case, but they never around when you talk about it. So that tells me that you really don't care anything about the case. Now, y'all come on in there. Let me get these notes right quick. I got 2 minutes. I have 2 minutes. Let's turn up. Hold on first. There is too many information on this case. There's no way this case shouldn't be solved, y'all. It should. I really deep down in my heart, I don't think they want it solved. I really don't. Because this case has a lead. Yes, it do. It have a lead to who I think may have something to do with it. It has a major lead. It has a big lead of a person that allegedly might be involved in this case. I think they really just forgot all this, want to just forget all about this case. Now, oh man, that's the wrong one. Hold on, y'all. Hold on, y'all. Hold on just a second. I got the wrong notes. Hold on. Woo. Yeah. The person that I suspect that might have something to do with this case is George. George. George is a suspect in my eyes in this case, y'all. George is a suspect in my eye in this case because a lot of things about that George and Tiana and Diamond mother got in an argument, y'all. They got in one of the biggest argument, and the argument was about George denied Diamond. He denied that Diamond was his child. And usually when a man denies a child, they don't want no children by you. They want to keep fooling with you. But I don't think that he wanted children by Tracy. I really didn't think he wanted kids by Tracy. That was 3 years ago when she had that baby. I don't think he want that baby to be his. Because he knew George Washington knew that he was allegedly still in a relationship with another woman. That means that he can't have no other children, y'all. He can't have no children around. So that means to me, like, he was allegedly fooling around with Tracy and Tracy got pregnant. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So the argument that where he denied that he was the father to Diamond. They had been arguing about that. But found out when the DNA came, he is the father. He is the father of Diamond. Now that usually make a lot of men upset when they dealing with another woman besides the girl on the side. I believe Tracy was the young girl on the side. And I believe the other woman, she was the other woman. She was the main woman. And now that he got a baby out there, he don't want it. To me, that's what it sounds like. Now, this man allegedly has set up a camp for the family. Yeah, he just gonna make up a camp. He want to go camp. He didn't even reserve nothing, y'all. George Washington, he didn't reserve nothing. Y'all, there was evidence. They got so many evidence in this case. I just don't understand why this case isn't solved. It's not one girl, it's two girls. And I know that Tiana is not going to walk away without having her sister Diamond with her. There was evidence that there was a phone call, y'all. There was a phone call made that morning from one of the girls to her mother saying there was someone at the door. Now that baby told her mom somebody was at the door. And the police suspect that perhaps the girls opened the door. They opened that door for that person. Now 11 a.m., it was supposed to be 11 a.m. or either 11:30 a.m. when the mom arrived home on July the 6th at 2001. Yeah. 10 years Tiana and 3-year-old Diamond was there. Now, George, the one that picked the mama up from the work, George know that the mom was at work. Yes. Somebody delete a text answer something on the answer machine, y'all. Unfortunately, the call became unanswered after not getting in answer. Some is suspicious about this case, y'all. Something is suspicious about the Bradley sisters. Something is going on. The reason why I say that is the reason why I said something is going on in their case is because I don't know. Nobody seen the girls. George didn't help find the girls. He was with someone else at the time when they was looking for the girls. Why wouldn't George want to help look for his own child? That's a question mark. That's a question mark about this case, y'all. Tracy, she waited 8 hours to call either 7 p.m. to tell the police that they are missing. She said she was terrified when her daughters went missing and thought weren't going to go to the police, but instead she was exhausted. Come on now. Man, this is crazy. This case right here, God, 22 years, 7 years ago. She's 20, Diamond 22. And Tianda, allegedly 35. I don't understand about this case is why did they keep the other kids instead of the babies? They took the older kids away from the babies. Why did that happen? There are new evidence, y'all. They can't talk about. 6 a.m. The mom will be home at 11 a.m. Either 1:30, 11:30. 7 to 8 a.m. Tracy checked on the kids as often. This is not nothing unknown. No, y'all, this is not a norm routine. They never leave the house. These girls would never leave the house without calling mama or calling a relative. Now the mama claimed that she looked on the sofa and found a bundle of clothes on the couch. It seemed like to me somebody took them girls and keeping them girls because they got some clothes and the clothes on the sofa. That's how the mom found it. The letter, the note that was sent, that was written. Now, think about it, y'all. Clothes on the couch, as well as a handwritten note. Come on, saying I'm going down to the corner store, but the girls never return back home. That don't sound right. That's not Tianda. That is not Tianda. The children normally don't do this. This is not a normal routine that the kids do. The kids don't even leave unless the mom or either or another adult is at the restaurant. Tiana has never done this before. So this is unusual. Now, she did call her mom and said George was at the door. Y'all, that was 2 charges. On July the 5th, 2021, she said George was at the door. And there was a George in the neighborhood, and it was the George that's supposed to be Tiana father. But why would George be knocking on the door and he know where the mama is? He know he don't supposed to be in that house. He know exactly where the mama is. Why is he coming over there to the house? She called them 3 times. She thought they went to sleep. The mom didn't think something was happening because that was early in the morning, y'all. You don't think your children going to no playground at no 11 a.m.? George allegedly had been planning a camp trip. Yes. Tracy, he didn't buy food, no reservation at the campsites. He borrowed equipment. The camping trip was a fraudulent. He didn't have a camping trip. He didn't go to. I wanted the equipment that George have. Did he use it to hide the girls, y'all. That equipment that he bought, I wanted he use it to hide the girl. And it's a strange thing that the note said they went to a store nearby called Jewel. Why would they go in that shopping center? They ain't got no money. Why they got cameras? Nobody's seen them girls, y'all. Nobody's seen the girls. Ain't nobody knows in the building. I just don't understand this. Why wouldn't y'all want to help find his daughter? Why? Tracy acting all suspicious. What's going on in this case, y'all? Tracy talking about she was scared. She was afraid that the police would call child protective service, but your daughters are missing. That's not your fault when your daughter go missing, Tracy. Tracy thinking about that because she had a 10-year-old and 3-year-old in the house. Well, Tracy, if you were worrying about the child protective service, why did you leave them in the house and let the grown ones, the older girls, go over to the grandmama house? See, that don't sound right, y'all. Tracy said she was afraid that the police would call child protective service. She left a 10-year-old and a 3-year-old at home. Maybe they would take the other 2 daughters. But why? My thing is this, y'all. Justin, you don't want me to talk about Tiana and Diamond, and you never hear when I talk about them. That's why I don't like to do this. If Tracy was so afraid of the child protective services, she would not have left them kids in that house. She let the oldest 2 go stay over the grandma. I don't understand that part. I really don't. I don't understand why Tracy left 2 little kids in the house and let the older kid, older than them, go to the grandmama house. That was something back. That's something, man. Police ain't doing their job. What's going on? And the note is from the note that was left is from is Tiana handwriting, y'all. The notes is Tiana handwriting. I don't understand this story. I just think that to me, I believe I don't know. This is weird. I just at 11 a.m. You think that girl want to get up out the bed? My mama just left at 7. No, her mama be home at 11. Why would she leave the house? This don't sound right, y'all. And the note, she did write the note. How Tracy gonna be terrified when her daughters are missing? When your daughter is missing, you supposed to call the police. They can't take your other children if somebody missing. Her thought wasn't even to go to the police at all. Something ain't right about this case. Now, after they would go to the play at the school playground, at the Doolittle Elementary playground. That's what Tiana would have never written a note to her mama. She would have written a note to her mama, y'all. Tiana would have never left that house, y'all. She would have never left that house. Man, this is so sad. This story right here. That's why I didn't want to cover it. It's kind of like to my heart, man. They ain't found them girls yet. 22 and 35. And then with it, they still waiting on the girl DNA test. They still should know something now. They claim the girl who looked like them is not talking. That's what they claim. There are new evidence, y'all, that they can't talk about. I try to do everything to dig it up and try to look for it. Somebody was working fast. Whoever did this to those girls was working fast. Tracy will be home at 11 a.m. Moms, y'all should know we don't left our children in the house and know they ain't gonna leave out the house until we come home. So really it's not that 11 leaving at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Come on now. Come on now. This is a crazy case, y'all. It's crazy. Now they 22 and 35. The way they do kids these days, what they do them, they'll forget who they all depends on how they was taken. They took clothes with them. No, they gonna buy them some clothes. No, they gonna buy them some clothes. Why did she think George was at the door? How long mama been dating George? 3 years? Because the little girl, 3. Wow. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say, Justin. So you're not here for this case today. Don't ask me nothing else about this case now. Because really, this case is, I'll say, George involved, allegedly. Allegedly, I say George involved. Because what threw me off, y'all, what made me think that they wasn't going to come back home, because the mama found look, she looked on the couch and found bundle of clothes. So it's more like somebody said, okay, y'all bring these clothes right here with you. Come on, go get you some clothes and stuff. They took some clothes to wear and made that girl write that letter. That's her handwriting, y'all. That's her handwriting. I'm trying to get into going to the corner store. They don't normally do this. They don't even leave the house unless the mom know about it, y'all. Or they'll tell an adult. Tiana has never done this before. Somebody know the mama routine. Somebody know the mama routine real good. Somebody knew mama get off at 11 and 11:30. No neighbor saw nothing. She called her mama. I don't know what to say. Y'all don't know what to do with this case, because she told her mama that George was at the door. What George was at the door? Mama should have answered the darn cotton picker phone. Bumper job. When your children call, it's something don't happen. Why she ain't answer that phone? And then she gonna call them a little later, 3 times. And she thought they was asleep. The mom didn't think something had happened. She didn't think nothing had happened. What y'all think about it? I don't know what else to say about this case, y'all. I just don't know what else to say about it. Because some people act like they're interested in the case, but they ain't here when I talk about the case. Don't bother me about this case, because it ain't nothing I can do. And ain't nothing I could do. All I can say that the suspect could be George. Suspect could be George. George could be my suspect. Tracy may know something. To them girls. I really do hate this happen to them girls. They 22 and 35 and they ain't found them good. Golly. And they not asking about where my mom is. They're not looking for their mother. They're not looking for their sisters. That's something that Tiana will not forget. Tiana know that she has sisters. She knows she has 2 sisters. She knows this. Whoever got her, she knows that she have sisters. She's 35 now. Tiana is 35 now. Y'all telling me that I think George probably done did something with them. Because you can't tell me nowhere in the world that they still alive at age of 35 and 22 and they ain't trying to find their way back home. Is they over in another country? And see, George throwing me off. That George didn't want no baby. George got a woman. Well, no, most men who got a baby on the side don't want no children. But they rather keep doing what they doing without protection, but they don't want no children. I don't think he wanted no kids from her. I really don't. When he found out he the father to that child, because at first he was trying to deny Diamond. He was trying to deny Diamond at first. That was the argument constant about Diamond. Diamond don't look like me. She ain't none of mine. But when that DNA came back and said, George Washington, you are the father. That's when George just went crazy. George just went crazy. Because George Washington know that he got a kid out there and he got a woman out there. Tracy wasn't the main woman. Tracy wasn't the main woman. What we got here, y'all? What do we have here? I think he got rid of those girls. I believe he really did. I believe George got rid of them girls. Cause see, you can't take one and you can't take one out the house if you don't take the other. See, you can't leave Tiana and take Diamond. If you take Diamond, then Tiana a tail. Cause Tiana 10. This almost like Alexis Ware case. That little 10-year-old girl can talk. She's 10. Y'all know when we were 9, 8, 5, we were smart. John picked the mama up from work. What? Loud, how much? Listen to this, y'all. Hold on. Oh, shoot. Listen to this, y'all. I still want to know what happened to these girls. For a fact, because I covered them. I want to know for a fact, where are these girls? Are they unalive? Are they in another country? Where are they, George? Where the girls, George? Where you put the girls at, George? Let's see.
The confusion between the two
Hold on, y'all.
Confusion between the two Georges will come.
Hold on. I want y'all to hear this. I want y'all to listen to this. See, this case right here, it's gonna have to take all the people in the comment section, everybody who interested in finding the girl, is gonna have to take put our heads together and figure this out. It can't be me. It can't just be me. Do this. It can't just be me. I can't do this by myself. So don't ask me to do it no more if you ain't gonna be here for it. That's all I gotta say, because this ain't no easy case. Okay, listen to this. This is true.
Unnamed man as being of Middle Eastern descent, and gone on to say that it's unclear which of the two girls he was actually paying child support towards.
Okay, hold up. Listen to this again. You talking about a man from in another country paying child support? And he don't know who he paying child support for? What do you mean by he don't know who he paying child support for? Okay, y'all, listen to this.
And while that was one of her favorite pastimes, it was dancing which really captured her soul. She could be frequently found dancing along to music, to her own singing, or even to pure silence if the mood struck her. With a defined sense of right and wrong and a penchant for fun and excitement, it would be Tianda who would be most excited 6 years later. When Tianda was 7 years old, on November 25th, 1997, Tracy would give birth to another daughter whom she'd named Diamond Yvette. For the family, it quickly became apparent that Tianda looked upon Diamond as her responsibility, and the young girl frequently contributed to assisting with the care of her new young sister. Diamond was a beautiful young child, playful and free-spirited. Rita would later say, quote, "Diamond would jump from couch to couch, and she had these dark eyes that used to scare everybody." End quote. The early years, for both children, are somewhat subject to debate, as there hasn't been a great deal of information shared publicly. There's also a lot of debate and speculation revolving around specific details, mainly the father of the children. Diamond's father has been listed as a man named George Washington, but in regard to Tianda, there's some confusion. Many articles report that a man of North Africa.
Now listen to the confusion. Now we know that George Washington is Diamond's father. We know that, even though he didn't want that baby. He didn't want that, allegedly didn't want that child. But let's listen to Tianda's father. How they meet?
Possibly Moroccan descent, was actually paying child support on one of the children, believed to be Tianda, until 2001, when he was informed that he wasn't her biological father.
What?
Other places have listed this unnamed man as being of Middle Eastern descent and gone on to say that it's unclear which of the two girls he was actually paying child support towards. I'll touch on all of that a bit later. There's also another George in play here, reportedly a friend of Tracy's who lived in the apartment complex and often helped out babysitting. His name was also George.
So
George.
The other George helping out babysitting, you got another man helping out babysitting your daughter. I don't know what to say. I really don't know. I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this case. I just keep the awareness out there on the girls, but I hope they find out what's going on with the girls, because there ain't nothing I could do. Cause the mama doing too much for me. She got too many men around these girls.
Senior. The confusion between the two Georges will complicate matters quite a bit during the later part of the investigation. Regardless of a father, the children lived with and were raised by Tracy. Another important figure in the lives of the children was Sheila Bradley Smith, the great aunt. The children were raised in a caring environment, surrounded by strong women with a deep-seated love for them. A blue-collar upbringing in Chicago can certainly have its challenges. Tracy had help from family, including Smith and the girl's grandmother. Chicago is one of the largest cities in the United States, boasting a population of nearly 2.8 million residents, making it the third most populous city in the country. Chicago encompasses 234 square miles and sits in Cook and DuPage counties. Chicago has a complicated history in relation to crime statistics, with its murder rate ranking 16th. Friday, July 6, 2001, Tianda and Diamond were at the family's apartment. Their sisters, Rita, then 12, and Victoria, who would turn 9 the next day, were staying with a relative. Why Tianda and Diamond were not also staying with this relative has never been clarified. There has been some discussion that Rita and Victoria often stayed with this relative, but at this particular point, it's subject to a great deal of speculation. Stories contradict about this particular relative, though many articles examining the case have specified that it was their grandmother. Initially, it was alleged that Tracy was alone with her 2 daughters on that morning, though later that will turn out to be untrue. According to her original story, Tracy awoke sometime between 5 and 6 a.m. She had work that morning, and at the time, she was doing work for a summer camp, which required her to go to Robert Taylor Park. Her job consisted of aiding coordinators, as well as packing lunches for the campers. While this wasn't a glitzy job, and early mornings are never fun, it did afford her the ability to return home in the early afternoon. According to Tracy, when she left for work that morning, the girls were going to be left home alone. Tianda would be responsible for looking after her younger sister, and it seems like this wasn't the first time she'd have been in this position. The timeline here can be subject to some debate as well, with Tracy having been reported to have left the apartment that morning either at 6 a.m. or 6:30, though the majority pinpoint the later time as being accurate. Either way, according to Tracy, when she left the apartment that morning, both Tianda and Diamond were home and sleeping. What occurred over the course of the next few hours is unknown. Tianda was scheduled to attend a summer program that day, though she never made it and was marked absent. What exactly?
See, that's one thing I don't like, mothers. We can't stop our kids from getting that education so we can go to work and they can stay at home and don't go to school. Tianda should have been in school, but you had the nerve to have Tianda keeping your child while Tianda's supposed to be at school. And they found out Tianda was trying to go to summer school and she trying to take the little girl with her. Tianda wants to go to school. Now, a lot of this situation here falls back on the mother. It falls back on the mother. Because no way a 10-year-old should be babysitting a 3-year-old. Y'all teaching them how to be mothers at the early age. That's not right. That's not right.
What was going to happen with Diamond during this time is unexplained. Some have argued that she was going to accompany her older sister to the program, though how the children would arrive there is also a piece of the puzzle which seems unclear. Tracy states that she arrived home around 12:30 p.m. Again,
Well, why they tell us that she arrived home at 11? Then they say 11:30. They can't even get the story right. Now they saying 12. They can't get the story right in this case right here.
12:30 time has been debated, with some saying that Tracy returned home as early as 11 a.m., but given some details from eyewitnesses, 12:30 does seem to be the approximate time. It's also important to note here that Tracy's story about her comings and goings, the timeline, and the events of that day are highly subject to speculation as, when speaking to investigators, her story changed multiple times. She later stated that her timeline was purposefully distorted because she was afraid that she'd be subject to criminal offense if she told authorities that she had left her 10 and 3-year-old daughters.
Well, Tracy, if you want help finding your children, you got to talk, sister. Because to me, it seems like you still know where they are, and they good now. Since they 35 and they 22, they got to want to know who their mama is. And they took clothes with them. That was a long time ago.
Home Alone. An interesting detail about Tracy's return home is that she didn't arrive alone. Tracy brought Diamond's father, George Washington, along with her, and according to her story, the two were planning to take the two young girls on a camping trip. The trip was allegedly planned to take them down to Lake Schaefer in Indiana, approximately 2 hours and 110 miles to the south, though this has become a major subject of controversy and speculation. Tracy has openly stated that they'd never gone camping before. So why they
See, all this new stuff George got them doing. The girls never left the house like this. Never did none of these things. Now you setting up a camping trip, and mom don't know nothing about a camping trip like that. They ain't never been on no camping trip before. Why is George planning a lot of stuff, y'all? Premeditating, allegedly.
suddenly decided to make this trip seems unclear. Factor that in with the detail that the next day was Victoria's birthday, and many people find that this supposed camping trip doesn't exactly fit with the narrative. There has also been some speculation about Tracy and Washington's relationship at this point in time, with some believing that they were romantically involved and others stating that they were simply both involved in raising Diamond. Tracy stated that upon arriving home, she found that the girls weren't in the apartment. After searching all over it, she discovered a note. The note, supposedly written by Tianda, explained that the two girls were going to be visiting a nearby store and then proceeding on to the Doolittle School, located approximately a block from the apartment, which itself.
Come on, y'all. Y'all know good well that little baby ain't decided to go nowhere like that. Y'all know good well that 10-year-old ain't write no letter saying, Mama, we're gonna go to the playground a block from the house, and we're gonna go to the store on the cone store over there. Man, come on now. Come on, y'all. Why is this case not solved a long time ago? Years ago. Golly.
Was found on East 35th Street and Lake Park Avenue. It wasn't exactly out of the ordinary for the girls to visit the Doolittle School, as they frequently enjoyed to play on the playground located there, and Tianda attended a summer school program they offered, though how often these young girls were prone to, or allowed to, wander there or anywhere else by themselves seems to be up for debate. At this time, Tracy has said that she began looking for Tianda and Diamond by herself. According to reports of the time, she requested that George assist in the search, but instead, he chose to leave. Tracy did contact several other family members.
Now, Tracy, now, George. So you left yourself as being a suspect, a suspicious suspect, because you're not even looking for your daughter. You're not even looking for Diamond. Why wouldn't you be looking for Diamond? You went to pick the mom up from work.
Who began searching as well, including her mother. Tracy left the apartment and walked well over a mile, knocking on doors, checking throughout the neighborhood, at the school, the stores, and asking people she saw on the street if they'd seen the girls. According to Tracy's mother, when she asked if the police had been called, she was told no. If Tracy began this search as late as 1 p.m., she, at a minimum, waited 5.5 hours before calling the police and reporting the girls missing that evening at a
5.5 hours. 5.5 hours.
Approximately 6:30 p.m. When the girls' great aunt, Sheila Smith, later asked Tracy why she waited so long to contact authorities, she confessed that she was afraid she'd be arrested. Smith later said, quote, Tracy was told by another family member who had some previous run-ins with DCSF that you should probably look for them because if you call the police, DCFS, they're going to probably put you in jail or.
Well, why was she listening to the camp people that are already troublesome? Son, y'all got to tell me something about Tracy. Y'all got to give me a little bit more about Tracy. You know, what she'll use her, what was she doing with her leisure time? Y'all got to tell me a little bit more about Tracy.
Try to take your kids totally. So that's the explanation I got from Tracy personally as to why she changed her story. End quote. This would be one of many statements Smith will make publicly over the years, and since this devastating day in July, Smith would become the strongest advocate for both Tianda and Diamond. When authorities arrived at the apartment, Tracy told them what had happened and gave them the description of the girls. She also provided them with the note that had allegedly been written by Tianda, though for investigators, they began to wonder if it was possible that this note could have either been written by a potential kidnapper or perhaps had the kidnapper dictated the note and forced
Okay, I found out that the note was written by Tianda. The note was written by Tianda
to write it. Smith felt immediately that the note was not written by Tianda. She was in possession of a note that Tianda had written months earlier, and she felt that it was impossible that these notes were written by the same person. In a later interview, Smith stated, quote, "No way she improved that much in 5 months," end quote. According to Smith, the notes were written in a completely different style, structure, grammar, and tone, and beyond that, it was not a usual practice for Tianda to leave notes behind. The note is definitely a curious area of this disappearance and has been debated back and forth thoroughly ever since the first day. Police launched an immediate search of the area, as well as making the choice to pay visits to more than 100 known sex offenders living nearby. Within the first hours of the investigation, the amount of police officers continued growing, and the search was expanding dramatically. A rotating group of more than 100 detectives were assigned to the case, conducting searches of the sewers, abandoned buildings, bodies of water, garbage dumps.
Yeah, I believe those girls walked out that door with somebody that they trusted. I think they trust the person. I think Tianda trusted the person who she opened that door for, since her mom didn't answer the door. She trusted that person who her mom be around. Somebody she be around that she trusted. Tianda trusted them and believed them. That's why she opened up that door.
And even dumpsters. Everywhere they considered it a possibility that the children could have ended up either by their own choice or at the hand of someone else. This was exceedingly important in those mystifying. How 2 children could simply up and vanish without leaving a trace,
Right.
without being seen, without anyone hearing anything.
Right.
For many who examine this case, it seems quite clear that someone holds the answers.
Right.
But unless they come forward or new evidence can be found to force their hand, the disappearance of Tianda and Diamond Bradley remains open, unsolved, and 17 years cold.
It's weird.
The disappearance of Tianda and Diamond Bradley is one of those cases that just sticks with you. It's always horrible to discuss a disappearance, but especially that of a child. In this case, 2 children went missing, and some 17 years later, we're no closer to understanding the truth nor discovering their location than we were back in 2001.
I just can't believe that 2 girls are missing, 35 and 22, ain't trying to find their parents. Not trying to find their parents at all. So that leave a question for me. Are they still alive? Did George use the equipment that he bought to do what he did? Or do he have any nerve to do what he did allegedly to Tianda and Diamond? Did he, because they took clothes with them, did he make them think that they was going on a camping trip? Get y'all some clothes, we about to go on this camping trip, and led them somewhere different. It's nowhere in the world them girl could be still living and We don't have nothing on them. We don't have nothing on them. I believe he told them they were ready to go camping, get some clothes, cause we going on a camping trip, and allegedly left the apartment with them girls, and did what he had to do real quick. Allegedly. George need to talk, y'all. George need to talk, because now listening to everything, it seems like George is a suspect, allegedly. I bet. It seemed like he told Tiana, get y'all some clothes and stuff like that. So we're gonna go on a camping trip. So get something like for camping. And Tiana said, oh, okay. And got happy about it. And he went out the door with them. But it's strange how no neighbors heard or saw anything. Don't you know you're gonna have one neighbor knows a neighbor in your neighborhood? Gonna look out the blinds. It's gonna be a drunk man out there, gonna be a drunk woman. It's gonna be somebody outside. Somebody had to see something. And they so quiet about this. They really quiet about this. Do they care about Tracy? Do they like Tracy in the building?
Surprisingly, for a case which initially received such extensive coverage, much of what exists today in articles, forums, and interviews amounts to little more than the regurgitation of the same facts over and over. There was once a website dedicated to the case, though it's no longer available, and much of the news reports which aired have gotten lost in the mix of countless stories of disappearances and other crimes. I was driven to cover this case due to the sensitive nature of it, but I had no idea when I first began that I would be coming into such an utter chaos of contradictions, rumors, and outright lies.
Right.
You very much have a split here in terms of what is and is not a fact, with those who support one side of the family arguing that Tracy has been painted as a criminal and a suspicious person, and others arguing that her behavior and actions in the days, weeks, months, and even years after the disappearance could only lend her to further suspicion. Regardless of where your opinion may reside in terms of Tracy and George Washington, there is only one thing which is certain. We don't have the whole story, and what we do have doesn't make a lot of sense. Lately, I've seen this case popping up here and there. A few articles have recently been written to summarize that which is known, but progress has been slow, if not non-existent entirely. Many eyes have perused the files of this case, which in Chicago have accumulated more than 5 filing cabinets filled with tips, witness statements, rumors, interviews, and much more. All of that added together creates a cacophony of information, which ultimately does little to supply the investigator with a clear indication of what happened. Due to the mass amounts of information which have been compiled, many have taken it upon themselves to put forth theories which may help to explain the possibilities. The first of these theories examines the possibility that Tianda and Diamond were abducted by a total stranger. The stranger theory for many investigators was ruled out early as being unlikely. There are, though, 2 branches to this theory. Either that the girls were abducted while outside, or that someone entered the apartment and removed them. Beginning with the latter first, we have stories about Tianda's hesitance when it comes to strangers, her protective nature in regard to Diamond, and the unlikelihood that she would willingly open the door to a stranger. At the same time, we have to bear in mind that we're dealing with a 10-year-old.
I don't care who we're dealing with. I don't believe Tianda opened that door for nobody. I just don't believe she opened that door for anyone. Tiana trusted the person who she opened that door for, not thinking they will harm her or not do anything to her. And George claimed he was going to go on a camping trip, and clothes was in the living room on the sofa. Is telling them, get your clothes together, y'all. We're going on a camping trip after I pick y'all mama up, allegedly.
Entirely impossible that someone could have manipulated her into getting that door open.
Right.
Of course, had this occurred, you'd think there would have been more information available. Signs of a struggle, unexpected fingerprints, screams, or some kind of noise. Yet, as far as we are aware, none of that took place. It's possible this person, once granted access, could have produced a weapon and told Tianda to be quiet, but I doubt that same threat would have worked on a 3-year-old Diamond. She was more likely to cry or scream, but then again, in an apartment complex, how unusual is it to hear a young child crying out? The idea of a
So
stranger.
it's like almost unusual for all the apartment building out there. And ain't nobody seen them girls. Ain't nobody seen them. That's weird. That's why we got to start being nosy, y'all. I know you don't want to be nosy, but you can always stay anonymous. But y'all got to be nosy. Because then we will have these two girls. Back then, they were nosy. It was some nosy neighbors. And I'm surprised they didn't have one. They didn't have no nosy neighbors.
Entering the apartment does lend some credence to the note that was left behind, as most people feel it's unlikely that Tianda would have written it of her own volition. But if you were planning to abduct 2 children who you knew were home alone, why would you have them leave a note at all?
Right.
It seems more logical to just go and leave her mother wondering where they could be.
Somebody who left that note told her to leave a note. Seemed young. It seemed like a young person. It don't seem like an older person. It don't seem like George would want them to leave a note. It sounds like a kid, like a young person, allegedly had her to write that note. Hey, write mama a note and tell mama this and that. I don't know, y'all. I don't know about this. I don't know about this case. It seemed like a childish person who would do something. Why would you let her leave a note? Why would you, if you were going to take them, you should have just took them. Why did you have them to leave a note? Did Tianda leave on her own? Where was she going? She wouldn't have left on her own because she don't know where to go. This case is just like an unsolved mystery case to me.
At the same time, the note did create a lot of confusion.
Right.
It could have sent investigators in the wrong direction, so it's hard to say for sure.
Right.
It's been said that the note was proven to have been written by Tianda, but again, that doesn't mean it's impossible that it was dictated.
I wonder, did someone call Tianda on the phone and told Tianda what to do and where they were going to meet Tianda at? Now, this here case give me let's not let mama word too much. Write a note, tell your mama what you need to do, Tianda. Write your mama a note and tell your mama that y'all gonna walk down there too. So that's why ain't nobody think nothing wrong. That's why don't nobody believe nothing wrong, because it wasn't nobody else with them. Whoever called them on the phone, and y'all got to remember, somebody did delete the girl's messages. Somebody delete the girl messages, y'all. So I wonder did they delete who she was talking to on the phone. See, Tracy know this, but they deleted that information, y'all. So I wonder did they call Tianda, y'all wake up. Y'all gotta do this real fast before mama get off. Day my birthday, look, y'all go out the door, y'all meet me over there at the wherever that place I just said, that shopping center over there. And when they got over there at the corner store over there at that shopping center, they wasn't there. So the shopping center do have cameras. Why aren't they talking about the cameras? The cameras. Let me see the name of the store. The name of the store that they said they went to. The name of the store. It was Ozell or something like that. That's the store that they said that they went to. Okay, why did they meet them over there at the shopping center, at that store? Why did they do that? So I'm missing out this case, y'all. Something missing out this case. Somebody called that girl on the phone, called Tianda on the phone, and told Tianda to leave what kind of message to leave for her mama, allegedly, Allegedly, they did that. And she followed their instruction because she's a very smart girl. So they alleged that's the way I'm looking at it, because see, then the neighbors didn't see nobody bring them out the house. A lot of kids say they saw them. Some kids say they didn't see them. Some kids say they saw them. They don't know what day. I believe somebody called her on the phone, made her write that letter, made her write that note to her mama, and told her where to meet them at. So did, and they took them girls, allegedly.
To her. If it was at least written by someone with familiarity with the children, or at least the neighborhood, as two nearby locations that they frequented were mentioned. Now, were it a total stranger, he or she would have to get the children from the apartment down to the street,
Right.
where I imagine the suspect would have had some form of transportation
That's
waiting.
what I said.
All of this would have to be done without drawing attention, and then what? What was the...
This is exactly what I just said. I just said what he's saying. It's gotta happen this way. They have to call them girl. They had to call Tianda, and told Tianda, hey, meet me down there at Ozell, that store on the corner. You know where Ozell at? And then she said, yeah, she did, because her mama, somebody must have shopped there before. Somebody is leading these girls how to get out of there, how to get out their house, because I don't think it would, I don't know now. I don't know, it's weird. It's weird, because she said George was at the door. And ain't nobody in that apartment, all them apartment building out there in that project. I know good well somebody saw somebody with them girls. Unless it happened just like I said, they left out of there alone to meet the person away from the apartment. So who was George? Who was knocking on the door? She said George was knocking on the door. Did George call her back and tell Tiana to where to meet them? Somebody had a plan. Somebody premeditated this, allegedly.
Motive behind it. It seems unlikely that someone who had no familiarity with the children whatsoever would simply elect to enter an apartment building, knock on a random door,
Thank you.
and just hope that there were children to abduct inside. Not to mention, it was summer, and there were children playing outside in close by areas. If this was simply a matter of wanting to abduct some children, it probably would have been easier and less risky to try and grab one off the street and throw them in a car.
Right.
More so than to enter a building where you don't know who might see you
Right.
and try to stop you. That brings us to the other angle of this theory, which is that the girls may have been abducted while walking alone on the street. To me, this seems a bit more likely given the nature of the circumstances. Under this belief, the girls would have left the note behind, exited the apartment building, and began walking. No one at the store remembers seeing them that day, and surveillance footage depicted different children. That seemed...
So the civilians picked some different children? They had to see them. Because they went down there to the corner store. What they mean by they depict different kids? They have to see these girls on cameras. These girls have to be on cameras. They have to be. Jesus.
To indicate that the abduction would have taken place on the walk towards the store and not on the way back to the apartment. Any number of things could have happened here. Someone could have up and grabbed the kids, pulling them into a vehicle. They could have been spoken to and perhaps manipulated into going along.
George Washington. Allegedly George Washington. Because Tiana wouldn't have done this. If they said, your mama said it's okay. Tiana is a good babysitter. She's a good girl. She trusted that person who misled her. Tiana did. Why y'all not so hard on George? Because George definitely didn't want Diamond.
We all know the stories of strangers telling children that their parent is hurt, or they have candy, or there's going to be a party. It's impossible to say what the approach might have been. Were it a snatch and grab, depending on the suspect's size and strength, It isn't exactly difficult to control a 3-year-old, and that's really all you'd need to do. Once in possession of Diamond, it seems unlikely that Tianda is going to abandon her sister to run for help. But then again, you never know.
Right.
At the same time, were the suspect in control of Tianda, it wouldn't have been difficult to restrain her in a vehicle in some way and then return immediately for the 3-year-old who can't really get away. But again, I'm left wondering why this person would want to take both children in the first place.
Right.
Unfortunately, the world is a twisted place.
I think that the reason why they had to take both of them because Tiana, they know that the mama knows somebody knows something with that mom, somebody close to that mom. Because if you take the lead the baby, you got a bit. It's weird. This is weird. If you had got the baby, left the baby, and took Tiana, but they took both of them. They didn't take one. Why he didn't just take Tiana? Because if he took whoever got them, she trusted them. Tiana trusted them. So you wouldn't have left Tiana because that what's the name would have started crying. Diamond would have started crying because Diamond would have did nothing but cry because she's so used to Tiana with her. Tiana treat her like a daughter. So you're gonna have to take Tiana for Diamond to be quiet. Cause Diamond gonna open up, wake up everybody in the apartment building. Diamond is not Diamond ain't gonna hold your hand. Diamond gonna wait on Tiana. She gonna wait on Tiana. So you might well bring Tiana with you if you're gonna take Diamond. Now the question I have is, are they still alive? I wonder. The reason why I say that because George Washington did buy some equipment to take on the trip. What kind of equipment did George take on the trip with him? That's what's on my mind too. What kind of equipment did he take? Did he take a shovel? What did he take? What kind of equipment did he take? We don't have nothing. We don't have nothing.
And I may just lack the mentality to wrap my head around possible reasons for abducting children. A lot of theories in this case have been argued. Sex trafficking, drug trade, murder, slavery. All of these possibilities seem to exist, at least in this scenario, under the guise of coincidence. If it was a grab done on the street, then it seems unlikely to have been planned. This would mean that someone with the aforementioned intentions.
People don't take two children, y'all. They don't take two. But in this instant, in this situation right here, you have to take Tiana, because Tiana is smart. She'll talk if you tell her not to talk. But let me take the baby. Let me take that. If he just took Diamond, they'll know who did it. If he just take Diamond, they know that George Washington be done it. Now they don't outsmart the police. These people don't outsmart the police. They took both of them. They took the oldest to the youngest. Now Tiana is going to tell. So you got to ask yourself, are they still alive? Are they still alive? And if they still alive, they would be trying to find out who their family is, y'all. I don't care what these people say. They still would want to know who their family is, who their mama, who their sister, they know it's Tiana's so smart. She knows she have family out there. She's 10 years old. She knows. Diamond don't know. So did they separate them? Or what happened on the camping trip? Did they go on a camping trip, premeditate the camping trip, knowing that it wasn't a camping trip? So that go fall back on George. George did buy equipment for the camping trip. And first of all, he got in the argument about what Diamond is. I don't think he want Diamond. I don't think he wanted Diamond. So if you get rid of one, you got to get rid of the other one.
Just happened upon the girls and saw them as easy targets. That being said, it's entirely possible someone was casing the area for children and just happened upon them.
No, I don't think so. I don't think it happened that way. I don't think it. I don't. I think there's somebody close to the mama know about these girls and know the girls are in the house alone.
If this was a case of the children being taken in this way, it could have happened any time between 6:30 a.m. and 12:30 p.m.
Right.
That's a 6-hour window of possibilities where we simply can't account for the girls' whereabouts.
When the mama left, they know what this person know the mama's schedule. Now, this Tiana trusted this person. Tiana trusted this person. And we got to get them out of here real quick before the mama come home, before you go pick up the children, George. We got to get rid of them. We got to get rid of them. Only thing I can't understand is why she didn't let the children, the youngest kids, stay over to the grandmama house and leave the older kids at home. That's what weird to me.
Knowing that Tracy didn't contact the police until 6:30 p.m., that leaves a total of 12 hours open. Anyone who abducted the girls could have traveled quite a great distance in 12 hours,
Right.
or even 8. While both branches of this theory are open to possibility, we have other details which call them into question. The voicemail, for instance, certainly implies that someone other than Tracy saw them that morning. In the call, Tianda is alleged to have stated that George was there. There are 3 possibilities to this.
See, Tiana said George was there, y'all. Of course, they trust George because George don't spend the night at their house before. George been there before. They know that George go with their mama.
George Washington, their neighbor George, who babysat them sometimes, or a total stranger who either pretended to be one of these men, Tianda confused him for one of these men, or who simply used the name George by coincidence. I'm not a big believer in coincidence.
Me either.
While a stranger abduction is possible, there's a lot of factors that would appear to argue against it. Tianda's shy nature, the voicemail, the lack of anyone hearing or seeing anything resembling a
And the voicemail was deleted, y'all.
struggle, the utter randomness of finding 2 children on the street, or making the choice to knock on the door of a random apartment. Surely, someone could have been watching and known that Tracy was leaving. It could have been something as simple as a sick-minded individual seeing the children one day and then deciding to stalk the family and plan an abduction.
I don't think so.
All of these are possibilities. But given everything, a pure stranger abduction seems like the least likely of the theories.
I wonder, do it have something to do with somebody in the family? I really wondered to somebody who they trusted. They trusted them, y'all. Those girls, Tiana trusted them. Them were too young.
Involved with this case. This leads us into the second theory, that Tianda and Diamond were taken not by a total stranger, but perhaps by someone on the periphery of their circle, a family friend, or even perhaps...
That's what I just said. I'm looking at the nephew. I'm looking at the mama nephew on here. That boy who was sitting there talking on the steps with her 2 daughters. He spikes me out some kind of way. I'm just saying it could be somebody in the family. It's something going on there. Something going on. And that Tiana trusted them. She trusted them.
Family member. The first name that comes to mind is George. While this name has been bandied about fairly evenly in relation to Washington, in this instance, it's the neighbor that will be addressed. All reports indicate that a man named George Sr., either living in the same building or nearby, had a relationship with the family and oftentimes babysat the children. This would establish a trust between Tianda and George, which might make her more likely to open the door. If the voicemail transcript is accurate, then she directly stated the name George on that call. It's a little odd, though. Why would George Sr., the babysitter, coming to the door, lead Tianda to call her mother,
Right.
asking if she could let him in?
Right.
One would assume that Tianda was familiar with him and had been watched by him before. It seems likely that there wouldn't be as much hesitance about letting him in. Unfortunately, there isn't much information about this guy available.
Right.
Even his last name seems to be somewhat of a mystery and leaves us with no choice but to speculate. If George had access to the children in the past, if he had been left alone with them before,
Right.
why would he wait until a day where he wasn't in possession of them to commit?
And that's a lot of time. I mean, that's not enough time for Washington to, gosh, I mean, from 6:30, and then you got to take her over there to the job about 7 o'clock, and come by 8, 9, 10, 11. His heartbeat should be beating faster than anything. I wanted anyone to help assist George with this. Or this is what did somebody in the family got something to do with this. It's either or. We got to stick on the case, y'all, to find out. But whoever did it, Tiana trusted them. What are they doing now? 135, 122. What are they doing now?
At the abduction. He'd have to know he was going to be a suspect if that happened.
Right.
He'd have to be aware that police were going to question him. And so he'd need to create some sort of an alibi.
Right.
What that alibi is, we simply don't know. But police have never directly stated anything to suggest that they believe he played a role in this. That doesn't mean they don't feel that way, but they've been quiet about it. While babysitter George is definitely a possibility, there's a lot of holes in this theory as well.
Right.
According to the voicemail, this George implied that he was taking the girls to pick up a cake and then picking up Tracy from...
What? The voice, I'm gonna back that back a little bit. So we're gonna listen to the voicemail. This what the voicemail said? What?
They don't feel that way, but they've been quiet about it. While babysitter George is definitely a possibility, there's a lot of holes in this theory as well. According to the voicemail, this George implied that he was taking the girls to pick up a cake and then pick...
What? So the voicemail said that he was taking the girls to go pick up a cake? Why did he do that? Now, George, you're a suspect because their mama didn't want them to ride with you to go get no cake. They didn't have to ride with you to go get no cake. Wow, this is crazy.
They don't feel that way, but they've been quiet about it. While babysitter George is definitely a possibility, there's a lot of holes in this theory as well.
Wow.
According to the voicemail, this George implied that he was taking the girls to pick up a cake and then picking up Tracy from work.
And then pick up Tracy from work? So when they picked Tracy up from work, the girls wasn't in the car? It sounds like somebody don't like George. Now this sounds like somebody don't like George, y'all. Who is it that don't like George? Do the other kids like George? Is it somebody in the family that don't like George? Is George stopping them from doing what they need to do to those girls? Because George, they said that the voicemail said George picked up the girls to take them to get a cake, and he didn't ask their mama? I don't know if that George, y'all. I don't know if that George. I really don't. Because George know their mama want them to stay in their house. But he got a kid. He got a kid by Diamond is his daughter. So she could have opened up the door and went with them. But why would they leave a letter, a note? Why would they leave that note saying they down at the corner store if they were going with George? Somebody playing games. And I'm surprised the police ain't caught up with them way back then. They playing game with this case. So is it a jealous woman? This is a jealous relative? Who is this person? So why would the voicemail say that George picked up the girls and take them to get a cake on the voicemail? Who is that, y'all? Who is that person?
We can't know if the babysitter ever picked Tracy up in the past, but it seems unlikely that he would have been present for the birthday party and had any role related to picking up the cake. He may have had knowledge of Victoria's birthday, possibly even been told about it by one of the children, but would he have used that as an attempt to get her to open the door? Wouldn't it have been easier for him to simply say, "Hey, Tianda, it's George, and I'm here to babysit you"? It seems to me that he wouldn't need to concoct a story to earn Tianda's trust and to make her comfortable with the situation. It seems more likely that if he'd watched her before, he'd already have her trust. Then there's the stories about the man alleged to have been Tianda's father, this so-called Moroccan-born individual. Many have argued that, since he had previously paid child support, he may have been angry when he learned he wasn't the father and decided to abduct the child.
What? He's not the father to a child he was paying child support to? What kind of game is Tracy playing? Boy, God, late. What kind of kind of game is Tracy playing? These men don't know if they the baby dad or not. And a man paying child support like that for a child don't belong to him, that's kind of make him upset. But I'm not gonna put it on him though. Not yet.
Children and flee to Morocco. This is certainly a possibility, and given the time when this occurred, some 2 months prior to the terror attacks of September 11th, airport security and checks weren't nearly as strong as they are now. It isn't impossible that a man could have gotten both children through the airport and onto a plane, though you'd think that airport records would show this occurring. On top of that, we don't know the relationship this man may have had with Tianda, if any at all. There's no reports of him visiting or spending time with her, so the idea that she would have been comfortable enough to open the door to him is a little strange.
Right.
Then there's the question of motive, which applies to the babysitter as well. Why would either of these men want to abduct the children? The babysitter had access more often than not, so he certainly had plenty of chances to do so if that's what he wanted. The man from Morocco likely was in a similar position, at least in terms of planning. He would have had the ability to execute an abduction earlier, and we have no way of knowing how or if he'd be aware that the girls were home alone that day. The alone aspect of this adds a lot of suspicion because whoever did this either knew for a fact that the girls were alone, Tracy was at work, and Rita and Victoria were at a relative's, or this person got remarkably lucky on the day they decided to commit this crime.
I still don't understand why she left them babies at home, but let the older girls go over to their grandmama's house. Wow.
Crime. There's always the possibility that the abduction could have been committed by someone else who has never been named, perhaps a local or family member who has managed over these 17 years to keep their crime secret, but we have no way of narrowing that down to anyone in particular. The idea that the girls were taken by someone they knew isn't something which can be dismissed out of hand. And it carries.
Y'all see them apartments. The apartments got so many windows, so many people. Somebody being nosy. Somebody gonna be nosy. Somebody being nosy. I tell you, even if you fall in some snow, slip and fall, somebody saw you looking at you outside the window. Somebody saw what happened to them girls. Somebody. Did they park in the front or the back of the apartments?
There's more water than a total stranger abduction, but there are details which I don't feel fit the scenario. How could this person know they were alone? Why would the note be left? Why target Tianda and Diamond as opposed to Rita and Victoria?
Right.
Also, it's important to remember, this person couldn't have been responsible for Tracy waiting 5 hours to call the police, changing her story multiple times, or going almost out of her way to be uncooperative. And that leads us to our third and final theory. Tracy Bradley has been the subject of speculation and rumor in this case since the first day police arrived on the scene. She lied to police about being home when the girls disappeared. According to her, this was to protect herself from losing her rights to her children, but at the same time, you'd think a parent would want to tell investigators everything they needed to conduct a better and more thorough.
And it's two of your daughters. They didn't take one, they took both daughters. How you gonna be terrified and afraid of a social worker and two of your daughters missing? Come on, Tracy.
Search. She lied about being alone that morning, and then it later came out that not only had George Washington spent the night with her, but that he was there in the morning and drove her to work. What's curious about this is that when he picked her up from work and drove her home, he chose to leave rather than help her look for the children, one of which, by the way.
That ain't right. That ain't right. George ain't right. Who else do George know? Who else do George know?
Was his own daughter. Tracy's accounting of events can hardly be trusted, and the last time anyone saw the girls prior to the day of their disappearance was the early afternoon of the day before, when their grandmother saw them. For many, this opens up the possibility that the girls didn't disappear on the morning of July 6th, but may in fact have disappeared during the late night or possibly very early morning hours. According to several statements, George Washington didn't come to Tracy's apartment at a normal time. In fact, several reports suggest he arrived somewhere around 2 a.m. While this may be steadily in line with the theory that they were having a sexual relationship, it also lends possibility that his arrival was in relation to something else. The voicemail tends to cancel out the possibility of the abduction taking place at any time other than the morning of the 6th. In that call, Tianda specifically named the man at the door as being George.
Why would Tianda think that it's George at the door? Why would she think that was George at the door?
Know what the relationship was exactly between Washington and Tracy. So if it was a matter of him engaging in intimate encounters and little more, this might explain Tianda's hesitance, as he may not have been around much. According to Tracy's own statements, the girls were asleep when she left that morning, and if Washington didn't come over until 2 a.m., they may not have even known he was there. How often this may have occurred, we don't know, but George would have known the girls well enough to be aware of the birthday, and utilizing the story about the cake to get them to open the door, that's a possibility. There's also the detail about this alleged George telling Tianda that they were going to pick Tracy up from work, which is something Washington had done before and did that day.
Oh, so he done this before. He done came and got the girls before without Tracy knowing that. Yeah. I'm just surprised that they got away, y'all, with this case. I am so surprised that everything turned out the way it did in this case. Now, we can't just blame a person. We have to have enough evidence we got to have enough evidence, y'all, to say George did it. I can't just sit here and just say George a suspect. I can't just sit here and say George. Whoever a suspect, what her name, Tianda trusted them at the door. Is there any kind of problem within the family with anybody who could have been a suspect out the family? Could it be somebody? She trusted them. Tianda trusted them. She said that the answer machine was George. Whew, Lord, honey. I don't know about this case now, y'all. I don't know now. I don't know. With Justin, I tried to do my best with this case, but this case right here got some, I'm gonna have to let you fight this case. because I'm surprised ain't nobody locked up. I'm just surprised ain't nobody locked up. What's up, Carolyn? I don't understand why ain't nobody locked up in this case right here. Oh Lord, all I got to say is George and Tracy. George, sit down, come. George and Tracy. That's all I got to say. George and Tracy. George and Tracy. Somebody playing games. I don't know who it is. I ain't never seen nobody. They not in Chicago. Cause they would have seen the girl. And I'm surprised ain't nobody in the project seen them. The project know all them apartments right there. Somebody used to be nosy. See everything you do. Y'all tell me what y'all think. I tried. Y'all see Karen, you see Jason not in the chat, but he the one be wanting me to cover this story. I'm not about to go crazy covering this story right here. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. I don't know what these people doing. Ooh. Yeah, somebody got to do the murder. Wow. They got away with it. You sit down. Somebody got away with murder, y'all. With two girls, not one. Two. I don't think that's Diamond, that girl. I don't think that girl who y'all who just said is Diamond. I don't think that's her. I don't think it's Diamond. I really don't. So I'm not gonna say, you can say she Diamond, but she's not Diamond. I don't think she would look like this. I will be back late. I don't know. I don't know.